So that is unusual that a person who's a friend is given such an important position. And then it's also unusual that that friend is the largest contributor of money to a political operation, I believe, in American history. If I have understood correctly, it's somewhere around $300 million, one way or another, through one channel or another, that he contributed to Mr. Trump's effort this last time.
Oh, wow.
Huge amounts of money. And it's also a person who is contributing. I know right now that on Tuesday is an election in Wisconsin. They elect their Supreme Court judges. So there's an election for a Supreme Court judge. And if I understand the political, it's a 50-50 split on the Supreme Court, so that this election will kind of tilt the balance which way that court goes. And the left and right, Wisconsin is a state of importance because it's not either in one camp or the other. It's half-half. He is giving money, I believe $100, to every voter who signs a petition that he has, and he has circulating. Now, obviously, the idea is, if I can get this person to sign the petition for $100, I'm going to let them know I want their vote. You can't literally give people money for a vote. Believe that's a crime in most states. You can't do that. Of course, that's a crime because we used to do that in this country. And then there was an outrage and it stopped. So he's skirting that law to do this. A person who gives money to buy voters, whether it was in the presidential election or in Wisconsin, or in who knows how many other. I haven't done the work, and I'm not aware of anybody who's asked the question, to whom else has he given money? We do know that he went to Germany and spoke there before their last election about how the German people should vote for the extreme right-wing party. I don't know if you're familiar with that. The party is called the Alternative für Deutschland, AfD. It got about 20-something% of the vote, did very well in the last election. He visited Germany and said, this is the only party that can save Germany. An extraordinary act. In case your audience is not aware, there are 4 or 5 other parties in Germany. It's a multi-party society. All the other parties, all 5 of them, have vowed never to work with, never to have a coalition with that alternative, because they are thought of as the inheritors of the Nazi history. The leading advisor to the President of the United States officially goes and supports the extreme. You want to know why the Germans are upset with the United States? Before you get to the tariff on BMWs and Mercedes, which is coming, and that's terrible for the Germans. Their exports of cars to the United States are very important for the German economy, so you can bet they are scrambling now, really. But even before that, this kind of interference in their internal politics, holy mackerel. And I don't know if he gave money. I don't know if it's known, and I don't know how much it might be. But given what he's done everywhere else, I wouldn't be surprised. And since his wealth is listed, last I saw, at around $400 billion, giving 10, 20, or 100, or 200, or $300 million is immaterial to him. It's like you're giving me a quarter from my next political race. Thank you very much. But it's a quarter. That's unique, that a huge money donor becomes a kind of an adjunct to the president without being part of the administration the way others are. So, for example, he doesn't have to go before the Senate to be approved. They get to have him there. It might have been brought out by Senate research, which they're supposed to do, what he has done in his life, and that might have made it much more difficult for Mr. Trump to give him the power he has. He comes from South Africa, Ooh, that might be an issue. What did he do there, given the horrors of that society and its history? Anyway, all of that was avoided by this maneuver. Okay, that's interesting. That's unusual. Other than that, everything is the same. On the stage, covered by 1 million cameras, is a prancing Elon Musk gripping a chainsaw. I don't know if you caught that picture. All over the country. He was on, I don't know what the occasion was, but he's up on a platform, a speaker's platform, in his signature T-shirt and baseball cap, holding a chainsaw. And the point was, I'm taking a chainsaw to the waste in the federal workforce. So Americans saw the richest man on earth taking a chainsaw to rip the jobs away from tens of thousands of working people. I mean, if a student portrayed such a story in a class on public relations, I'd say, I'm not just going to give you an F. I'm throwing you out of the class, because that level of misunderstanding of what this is about is beyond repair. I mean, that could occur to you and that you would do it without nobody or yourself introducing the question, maybe that's not the image you want. That image will haunt the Republicans. If I were a Democratic advisor, which I have been in my life, I would say, just take this. The billionaire is firing the workers. But what? Also, to fire 10,000 at a time, which he's doing in the IRS, he did that. In AID, he did that. That's not efficiency. If you're going to make efficiency, means you have to study the situation, look really carefully at what everybody is doing, and then figure out better ways of doing wholesale. No efficiency expert would tell you to do that. That's dumb. That's chaos. The mere chaos recovery will undo the efficiency you get. Now, let's suppose you get 10% more efficiency. You're going to get 10% loss from the upset of all the workers who are not, and then even crazier, they undo it. They didn't take the legal steps to enable them to do it. So it turns out they violated half a dozen laws. So the people who get fired go into court, get a lawyer, and that's now running through 57 different courts. And some of these judges are siding with the workers, which is likely going to happen. That's going to hold it all up, which means you've alienated that worker. You've made that worker look for another job. Meanwhile, you may have to give that worker his job back and his salary back and possibly pay a penalty. Who does things like that? What? This is for show. It's like having ICE pick up, a Turkish professor who teaches oceanography at Dipsy Doodle University and ship her out of here. What for? Well, it scares people. It is demonstrable. It is dramatic. It gets you on the news. Otherwise, we're back to where we were before. What is going on here? Well, when there's a catastrophe at your house and everybody's fleeing, you don't behave the normal way you do. You say things, you throw things, you grab hold of things in a way you wouldn't normally do. And we understand why, because you're a bit of a panic here and you're desperate to get out. That, for me, is another symptom of a declining empire. As important in its way as losing the war in Afghanistan or turning on your erstwhile enemies. If you learn how to swim, or if you're instructed in how to be a swimming lifeguard, you're told that one of the things you have to be careful about is that a person drowning or losing control in the water, if you go to help them, they will grab onto you and actually pull you down with them, not intending you harm, but they are desperate because their lungs are filling up with water. So you've got to approach them very carefully, or else it'll be two people drowning, not just the other person. That's the sense I want to convey here.